Yes, yes, yes. It's another one. It's Raphael Dawkins, Combat Radio. And if you have not subscribed already but enjoy the content, please kindly do so. Okay. And today, we are looking at the Sun smear piece. Those outside of the UK who don't know what the Sun is, it's a newspaper. Online edition we're looking at now. And they have, I was going to say smear campaign, but I don't know if it's a campaign yet. So for the time being, it is a smear piece on Anthony Joshua. And just to give you a little bit of background first of all, I'm going to get into the article and then I'm going to go into my counter action. Okay, so the Sun right. Anthony Joshua dismisses Saudi Arabia's death penalty for homosexuals and says if you can't come, you can still watch me fight. And Ruiz Jr. on TV. Okay, not going to read all of the article because it's very poorly written, grammatically shoddy, just a mess. But I'll try and get through some of the more coherent pieces, give you the overview. Okay, so it says, Anthony Joshua has dismissed Saudi Arabia's shocking human rights record towards gays and told fans, if you're not allowed to come to the country, just stay at home and watch me on TV. Sounds rather sensible. I don't know what they're crying about. Okay, so Anthony Joshua will face Andy Ruiz in December in an attempt to regain or reclaim his world heavyweight titles in a country where homosexuality is illegal. Okay. So, the 29-year-old has tried to steer clear of questions about whether it is right to be taking the millions on offer. Right to be taking the millions on offer. To compete in a country with such strict laws. I should wait to the end to counteract, but I can't help but getting in there. My first counteraction. Okay. So they say he's tried to steer clear of the question about whether it's right to be taking the millions on offer to compete in a country with such strict laws. Okay. So strict laws is not necessarily a bad thing, is it? Strict just means according to the book. So in this section, they're not saying the laws are wrong. They are just saying the laws are strict. So, isn't that a bit of a paradox? Isn't that a bit of a paradox? They're just saying the laws are strict there, not that the laws are wrong. That's interesting. I think human violations, for the records, are wrong. For the record, I don't support human rights violations. I am anti-human rights violations. So to me, anyway, we'll get into that in a second. But asked by the BBC about the fact that homosexuals can receive the death penalty, Joshua let his guard down for the first time. He said there are certain policies that are in place in the country, and there are certain policies we just have to abide by. And I abide by the law. And that's just how it goes in certain places. Okay, I don't see any flaw in that section. No flaw. They say, yeah, abide by the law. That's a saying, yeah? Abide by the law. Wherever you are, abide by the law. I think that's sensible. That's sensible, intelligent behavior. Okay, if you can't come to the country, you can still watch it on TV. You're still open to support, and I appreciate your support from every community. That also is a sensible statement. Would you travel to a place where you could receive the death penalty for your sexual orientation? I wouldn't. So that's sensible. If you can't come, or if it's unsafe for you to come, stay at home and watch it on TV. Sensible. They're flipping that now to be a flippant sentence. Is it flippant or is it intelligent? I think the latter. I feel like I'm in the middle. I feel like I stand in the middle. I feel like boxing is just trying to open up the barriers for people to travel and see. Okay, so another little mini counteraction there. The more you open up the world, the more certain countries have to review their policies on certain things. Certainly, Saudi Arabia is not known for being upstanding when it comes to human rights. It's rather draconian, rather harsh in that area. And if by opening up to sports, they have to fall somewhat more in line, and surely that can only be a good thing. So that's a counteraction to the Sun position, who are heavily suggesting that it is wrong to take sports to Saudi Arabia. Okay, and let's counteract that. Let's look at all the other sports that went to Saudi Arabia. Where was the fervent vitriolic peace then? Where was the fervent vitriolic peace when Formula One went to Saudi Arabia? Where was the fervent vitriolic peace then? I don't recall it, but then again, I don't read that newspaper. Okay, let's see what else we can pick out here. I feel like so many communities have been through a lot of stuff, even my own community, and we're still going through stuff. Indeed. So why are you why is the Sun singling out homosexuality when there are human rights violations across the board? Okay, so let's get into my counteractions. Let me make it snappy. See if I can move this thing across to get the relevant parts. Okay, so how much business does the UK do with Saudi Arabia? The total goods exports from the UK to Saudi Arabia in 2017 were worth about 4.2 billion. 4.2 billion. So, let that sink in. Goods imports from Saudi Arabia were worth around 2.4 billion. 2.4 billion. A figure which has doubled from 10 years prior. Let that sink in. So, the Sun are pouring vitriol on one sportsman for going to Saudi when the UK are doing business per year running into the billions. Not millions, but billions. And it's okay. It's okay for the UK to do business with the Saudi. But it's not okay for a sportsman to do business with Saudi. Complete and utter garbage. Garbaggio. Two-faced, hypocritical garbaggio. Okay. Let's move on. Trying to keep this snappy. UK arms sales to Saudi Arabia unlawful. Court of Appeals declares. Stop arming Saudi Arabia. Hashtag stop arming Saudi. British sales to Saudi Arabia have been ruled unlawful by the Court of Appeal in a critical judgment that also accused ministers of ignoring whether airstrikes that killed civilians in Yemen broke humanitarian law. As a result, the court said that the UK export licensing process was wrong in law and one significant respect, and ordered Fox, the International Trade, to hold an immediate review of at least 4.7 billion worth of arms deal to Saudi Arabia. Billions worth of arms being sold from the UK to Saudi Arabia. But that's okay. But it's wrong for Anthony Joshua to go over there and fight over there. Utter hypocrisy to fool the simple-minded. Okay, the last section. Trying to keep this as snappy as possible. The war in Yemen. Saudi war in Yemen. I'm going to go into this too deeply, but you can see from the headlines. When did the Saudi war in Yemen start? Okay, so for anybody who didn't know, Saudi are warring in Yemen, making airstrikes. Well, let's go up here. Money from arms sales dwarfs aid for Yemen. Britain is behind the slaughter in Yemeni. Here's how you could help end it. What started the war in Yemen? Who is Saudi Arabia at war with? Well, obviously Yemen. What's happening in Yemen, and why is Saudi Arabia involved? A brutal civil war raging in Yemen. Yemen war. More than 100 dead in Saudi-led strikes. The war in Yemen. Saudi-led invasion of Yemen. And it goes on and on and on. Yemen, death toll, 2018. But the Sun don't talk about that. They just talk about Anthony Joshua. A vitriolic piece against Anthony Joshua, as if he is the root of evil. And perhaps they should look closer to home. It's Raphael Dawkins, Combat Radio, talking about the dirty dogs at the Sun. Dirty, dirty dogs. A vitriolic piece meant to fool the simple-minded. So what say you? I could have gone deeper into this. Maybe I'll go deeper into this in the Boxing Talk with Rafi, the podcast, the live show. I think that's enough. It's a bite-sized chunk. Enough for you to digest for today. It's Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. It's the like. It's the subscribe. It's the comment. It's the share. And it is the hitting that bell icon to stay updated with news and notification. Talking about the dirty dogs at the Sun. The hate mongers. Warmongers. And I'm out.